Fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here today to share with you my goals for 2025. As most of you know, if you follow the channel, and if you don't, hit that subscribe button down there. I set goals for myself every year for my diamond painting, so I needed to set some goals for 2025. Took me a while to figure out kind of what direction I wanted to go, so now I'm going to share them with you. And then you can share with me if you're going to set any goals for yourself and what you think of mine. I'm going to do this like a little mini whip and chat, so I'm going to zoom in here so that I can be working on this kit. This is my gingerbread lighthouse that I'm trying to get finished before the end of the month. So let me zoom in and I will be right back and we'll get into my goals. Okay, so while I'm diamond painting, let me start talking about my 2025 goals. Some of them are going to be repeats of things that I've done in the past, and you'll see why in a minute. And then some of them are going to be kind of new things. Some things I couldn't decide whether I wanted to turn them into goals or I wanted to just kind of keep them as not official goals, but just something that I wanted to maybe try and do. Anyway, so let me get into it. So for 2025, of course, as I've done every year, my first goal is going to be diamond painting hours. I am trying to get to 10,000 hours of mastery. They say that if you practice something for 10,000 hours, that means you're a master at it. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my goal anyway. So I'm trying to get to 10,000 hours diamond painted. I'm not even halfway there yet, but each year I try to get in 1,000 hours of diamond painting. So if I want to get 1,000 hours for the year, that means I need 84 hours per month, which means something like 2.5 hours a day. I don't always make 2.5 hours a day, but if there are days when I don't get to diamond paint, then I can diamond paint on the weekends and get some of that made up. And I have more free time than most since I don't have a traditional job. I mean, I guess I don't have a job. I consider YouTube my job. It's not a full-time job or anything, but it's enough to give me something to do every day and it keeps me occupied. So yeah, 1,000 hours a year, so 84 hours a month to get to my 1,000 hours a year. I don't know if I'm going to make it for 2024. I'm going to be close, and 1,000 seems much more reachable than the 1,500 I set for myself one year, so I'm going to stick with that. So the second goal is number of finishes, and I've had years where I have finished things. I think one year I finished my all-time high. I finished something like 75-ish items. Now, granted, that year I was doing a lot of very small, like 30 by 30 kits, possibly unfairly inflated. And the size of the kits do matter. I mean, if you could do 30 by 30s every month, which is doable, but not something I want to do, then you could possibly have all kinds of finishes. However, I have a lot of large kits, and so I just don't get through as many of them as quickly as I would like. So for this year, last year, well, for 2024, my goal was 35. I have upped that to 36 just to make it more round because dividing it by 12, that means I need 3 finishes a month. And I think I've done okay with that this year, even though a couple of mine were smaller, but I've got some smaller kits, so hopefully I'll be able to meet that goal. My third goal is something that I wanted to set because of where I am now. If you're new to the channel, you might not know that we just moved from the US to Canada. My husband is Canadian and we've been living in the States. I mean, I'm from the US, but he'd been living in the States for 10 plus years. His dad is not in great health and my parents are already gone, so we just decided that we would move up here. We planned to retire up here anyway, but his dad's health just kind of moved the timeline up for us a bit. So now here we are. So because we're in Canada, one of the things that I want to try and do this year is to buy from more Canadian companies. Sometimes it's hard to know what is Canadian and what isn't. I just put it down as a goal to buy from Canadian companies rather than Canadian diamond painting companies. I mean, just so that I could include things that are like accessories and things like that, because I think that will be easier to find than actual diamond painting companies. For instance, Dreamer Designs, which is the company I bought this current kit from, has their headquarters listed in Canada, but everything that you get from them ships out of the US. So I don't know if it's easier because of shipping regulations and imports and stuff, if that's easier, cheaper, whatever, for them to do it from a warehouse in the States, but it just seems weird that most of their operations seem to be in the US. However, I have purchased from Craft Pack Canada, which I know is a Canadian company, small business. So I may buy something else from them. I know there's a diamond painting company called Captured by Radiance. I may buy something from them. So if you have any other Canadian diamond painting companies that you've purchased from that you know are good, let me know. Even if they don't sell diamond paintings. For instance, I know there's a pin company that I really want to try that makes like the resin pins, so I'll probably get something from them. I know there's a company that makes trays. I've already purchased from one company, but if I can find another one, I think there's a Canadian lady that makes release paper, so I might order something from them. So if you have like any Etsy shops or anything like that that you know are run by Canadians, I would love to support them as well. So drop me a comment down below. Don't leave a link because the algorithm gets funky about links. Stuff tends to disappear if you try to leave a link in it. So just leave me a name. Or if you want to send me the link, you can send it via email to my Gmail address, which is diamondpaintinganonymous@gmail.com. Or you can drop a link in the Facebook group, and I'll try to remember to drop a link to the Facebook group in the description box below so that you can find it. I've had issues in the past with people joining the wrong group, so I want to make sure you're in the right one. So like I said, I'll try to remember to drop a link to that. So yeah, goal number 3 is to buy something from a Canadian company each month. And again, it may not be something big. It may just be release papers, a pen, a tray, putty, whatever else I can find to support some local Canadian businesses. Goal number 4. Again, this is kind of a continuation of one that I do every year, and that is my budget. However, I have changed it a little bit. The last couple of years, I've left my budget at $2,400. This year, I'm decreasing it, and I'm going to decrease it from $2,400 to $1,800. And I don't even honestly know if I'm going to spend that much money on it because of some of the other goals that I have. But just in case there are things that I want to buy, I can always go under budget, right? I can always spend less. That will bother me less than if I said, well, I'm only going to spend this and then I went over. Because as we all know, it's very easy to go overboard when you're purchasing things. So this year, my goal for my budget is only $1,800. And I am going to set aside a chunk of that for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, just like I usually do. So I'm reserving out of that $1,800, $600 for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I don't know if I'll actually purchase anything. I didn't really buy anything this year, so not a big deal if I don't, but at least I've got some money set aside if I want to. If it so happens that there turns out to be some things that I really want, I've got some budget set aside for it. And if I come in under budget, no big deal. 600 of the 1,800 reserved for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that leaves me $1,200. So if I divide that by 12 for the months of the year, that leaves me $100 per month that I could spend. And I'm sure there's probably going to be some months where I spend nothing, and there's going to be some months where I spend over that. I figure it'll all balance out. So if I spend somewhere around $100 a month, then it's probably fine. Like I said, I don't expect to spend a ton of money on anything, but we'll see how that goes. Perhaps it will be a year where there's just a lot of things come out that I like, and so I end up buying a lot of kits. I don't foresee that happening, but maybe. All right, so that was goal number 4. Goal number 5 is one that I've been thinking about. I actually considered doing it last year, and I just didn't. Last year, my goal kind of along these lines was that I wanted to finish my 5 oldest kits. And I managed to meet that goal, so I'm pretty happy with myself about that. They were all kind of large, all kits that I bought back in 2020. I think I finally made it through all of my 2020 kits, but I still have a lot of kits that I bought in 2021 that I want to get to. But I also have, because at one point, because I love his art, I had a bunch of Randall Spangler kits. and I still have quite a few. So goal number 5 for 2025 is to finish all of my Spangler kits. I only have 4 completed, like 2 of my oldest for 2024 ones that I did for this year. I completed Bubble Fairies and Universe in a Jar. I still have, and I'll throw pictures of them up on the screen, I still have the Literate Dragon, which hopefully will be one of my first kits for 2025 because I've unboxed that one already. I have Afternoon Tea, which is just a cute little, one of the cute little draglings making tea. I have the customized bookshelf. That one has been waiting because I wanted to customize it in a certain way. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not, but I want to finish all my Spanglers. That's a goal. So that one is going on the list to get completed in 2025. And my last Spangler is Treasure Quest. And that's the one that's essentially like them playing. It's a book of Treasure Island, and they're playing like pirates, and there's like a little treasure chest and all that kind of stuff. Super cute, lots of little vignettes, the kind of kits that I love doing. So those 4 I want to try and finish. I don't think any of them are super huge. Customized Bookshelf is kind of long, and I think Treasure Quest is probably the biggest one, but I want to get all 4 of those finished. So that is goal number 5. Goal number 6 is one that I've had on my mind for a while, and I think it was kind of brought to a head when we started packing for the move. And that is that I want to reduce my stash. So I'm calling the goal / the stash because I just have way too many diamond painting kits. I appreciate having them. I like working on them, but I think I just need to get it down to a more manageable level. And my stash is not as big as some people's, but we're going to be downsizing into a smaller house, so I'm not going to have as much dedicated space as I did previously in our old house in the States for crafting and that sort of thing. Hubby and I are going to have other things going on. I may be going back to work at least part-time, so I may not have as much time as I did to diamond paint, and just a variety of reasons. But a lot of it is space and moving. After moving everything and realizing how much I had, I mean, honestly, if I looked at the amount of kits in my stash, I think I'm somewhere around 80-ish, a little more, a little less some days, but it just feels like too much. I don't know what a good number is for me. So what I decided was, instead of saying I'm going to slash it and get down to X number of kits, I'm just going to say that I want to slash it by 30%. So I don't know what that works out to. Let me do some quick calculations here. So after doing some quick calculations, if I have 80 some in my stash and I want to slash it by 30%, that would take me down to somewhere around 55-ish, depending on how many kits are actually in my stash. And hopefully that number will go down a little bit because I'm working on some kits and trying to finish them before the end of 2024. So at the beginning of 2025, whatever that number ends up being, I would like to try and slash that amount by 30%. So that means not that I can't buy anything, not that I'm going to say I'm going on a no buy or anything like that. If there's something that comes out that I really, really want, then I'll probably get it. But the trade-off for me will be knowing that if I do that, then I need to make sure I'm working diligently to finish some other things in my stash. Again, it's just a space issue, kind of a mental issue for me. I think the amount of space that packing everything up, and while I'm glad that I brought everything that I did with us to Canada, I can still buy kits while I'm here. I think there was some trepidation on my part about how easy it was going to be to get kits in Canada, that sort of thing. I ordered kits from Diamond Art Club. They arrived here in about the same time I got them when I was living in the States. Yeah, it costs a little bit more money because I'm paying in Canadian dollars, and there's import fees and things that get added on, but it wasn't terrible. And if I'm not buying in huge quantities, then it isn't really as much of a factor as I thought it was going to be. So there's that. Also, now knowing that I have lots of other places that I could order from online, including a local shop that sells diamond paintings. They only sell diamond dots, but it's a local shop. That means I don't have to drive to the big city. I don't know how much their stock is going to rotate and things like that, but at least I have options. I am discovering, however, how spoiled we were living where we did, because although we lived rurally, the big city that was close to us was pretty metropolitan, way more metropolitan than the cities that are close to us here. So definitely realizing I was a bit spoiled with restaurants and amenities and movie theaters and things like that. But there seems to be more outdoor activities here in Canada. So just some things I'm going to need to do that we've never done before. I've never had the opportunity to ski, snowboard, stuff like that. I really want to try cross country skiing. I tried snowshoeing. I'm not coordinated enough for that. Or my legs aren't long enough, one or the other. So that was goal number 6. I'm getting sidetracked here. That was goal number 6. I would like to slash my stash by approximately 30%. So what I'm going to try to do is a term someone shared with me that I just thought was such a genius way to put it, and that is, while I'm slashing my stash, what I want to try to be doing is shopping from my stash. I've talked before about how you buy a kit and you initially like it, and then after it sits in your stash for a while, you're just like, I'm probably never going to do this kit, so I'm okay letting go of it. But it has also happened that I had that thought about a kit and I hung on to it, and then at some point later, I was like, you know what, I think I'm actually going to do that one. And I've enjoyed all the kits that I've done. Some are certainly more enjoyable than others, but I enjoy all of them. Someone said what they were going to be doing was shopping their stash, and I thought that's a good way to think of it. So I'm slashing my stash, but I'm also shopping from my stash. So if it so happens that there are some times where I kind of don't know what to do next, I can shop from the stash. So that was goal number 6. And then my last goal, official goal that I'm making for myself, is that I want to complete at least 3 of the kits from my Stay or Go series. Some of them have already gone from that series because I decided after opening them, looking at them, feedback from you guys, that there were ones that I was going to let go of. So some of them have already gone. However, I did keep a fair few of them just because I wasn't quite sure, or I hadn't made a decision and I figured, well, they'll just make the trip to Canada with me and then I'll figure it out from there. So I would like to complete at least 3 of those. So maybe that'll be my first poll, is to just list all the Stay or Go kits that I still have, and then ask you guys which one you would like to see me complete first. Like I said, I would like to complete 3 of them. They're all kind of big, so I didn't want to set myself too lofty of a goal to try and complete too many of them, but I would like to complete at least 3. So those are all my official goals for 2025. Diamond painting hours, number of finishes, buying from Canadian companies, the budget, finishing my Spanglers, slashing my stash, and completing 3 of the Stay or Go kits. I think that's plenty. I actually considered maybe cutting a couple of those from the list, but I figured for things like the diamond painting hours and the budget, those are pretty standard, so I kind of probably shouldn't even count those. But they are goals, so I left them on the list. I also considered making something a goal around events, but I decided against it mostly because I just want to have the freedom to decide if I don't want to do an event. I don't want to make myself feel pressured that, oh, well, I have this goal, so I need to do this. Because sometimes I just don't have kits that work out for events. There's a ton of events going on, so we'll see. I'm also not that good at finding events. I just forget to look in different places, or I think I don't have anything that applies. And then after the event's over, I'm like, oh, I could have done this. So I'm going to try to be a bit better about events. And I have made myself a list of events that I thought I already had kits for, if that makes sense. So I am, of course, going to be doing my own events. I will be doing DP for Pets in June, and I will be doing DP for Veterans in November. And I have listed both of those with the Diamond Painting Events group on Facebook. So you can find them there. And I will, of course, be posting about them in my own Facebook group and on socials when it gets closer to time. I did actually sit down and spend some productive time making the posters and everything for them already, so I have those ready to go. So I'm going to try and be a bit more on the ball this year with that sort of thing and letting people know in advance what is happening to maybe get more participation, because I think sometimes I forget to post because I'm just not I'm not a social media person. I'm not on social media a ton other than for diamond painting, so it just slips my mind. So I'll be doing hosting my own 2 events, but then I also wanted to find some other events because those would give me a reason to work on certain canvases. So I hit up Kay's group and went through. There's not a ton listed. I think I only made it to April, and there's not a ton listed after that for events yet for 2025. She's still collecting information, but I've got most of the months of the year. I think I have 2 or 3 months where I don't have something filled out for an event, but I figure that's okay. That gives me those 3 months to decide, oh, well, if I come across an event that works and it's a kit that I have something for, or an event that I have a kit for, I am, of course, going to do, or at least try to do, Summer with the Masters if they do that. I'm going to do drills and chills again. And then after that, we'll see. I know there's usually a Dakota Detweiler event. I have a Dakota Detweiler kit. However, I haven't seen anything on it yet. I just am looking for ways to keep myself motivated or more motivated throughout the year to try and finish some of these bigger kits that are older so that I can work towards that goal of completing my stash. Not completing my stash, slashing my stash. So if I complete all of the 35, 36 finishes that I want to, then that should certainly help me get to where I want to be for slashing my stash. That presumes that I don't really buy anything else throughout the year. I don't know how that's going to go. Like I said, if I see a kit that I really want, I'm likely going to buy it. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Lately, it seems that a lot of the new releases from all the diamond painting companies just have not been things that I'm interested in. But as someone pointed out, that sort of stuff ends up being kind of cyclical, and maybe next year they'll move in a direction that is more my speed, my taste for diamond paintings, and there'll be more out there that I want to buy. I'm fine either way, but I just, like I said, I feel like I want to get my stash down to a more manageable level. We will be moving again at some point next year. Our rental is only through the summer, so after that, if we haven't found something before that, we will definitely need to find something by then. Hopefully, we will find something over the winter, and then we can spend our time moving while we still have the lease. That way, if there's anything we need to do to the new place or anything like that, we have the time to do it and we don't have to live in a renovation. I don't want to do anything that's a huge fixer-up or anything, but if we need to put in some wood floors, or we're at the very least going to need to buy furniture and things. So if we could buy that instead of all at once. Plus, I don't know how it works here. In the States, we would at the very least need to probably buy a refrigerator for appliances. I'm going to want a dishwasher wherever we go, but I am definitely ready to be back in my own place. So that's definitely a personal goal for me, is to find something new so that we can move out of the rental. The rental's great. I don't want to say it isn't, and I'm enjoying being by the beach, but this house is not ours and not where we want to be permanently. So, yeah. So, there you go. Those are my diamond painting goals for 2025. So, leave me a comment below and let me know what you think of the goals, if you think those are doable. Again, if you live in Canada and you have some suggestions for diamond painting companies, small businesses, that sort of thing to try, I would love to have that information. And let me know what your plans are for 2025. Are you expecting that you're going to purchase a lot of things? Are you too trying to reduce your stash? Are you trying to build up your stash? Let me know. Always interested to hear your thoughts. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end of the video. Before you leave, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.